A new study from City of Hope has uncovered a striking and sobering biological mechanism behind the stubborn accumulation of belly fat as we age. While the discovery opens new doors in understanding how age-related obesity develops, it also comes with troubling implications. Researchers have identified a previously unknown type of stem cell that appears in middle age and is uniquely primed to produce fat, particularly in the abdominal region. These cells, referred to as CPS, short for committed preadipocytes, age-specific, are activated by a molecular signal known as LIFR, leukemia inhibitory factor receptor, and once triggered, they appear to accelerate the production of new fat cells with remarkable efficiency. On the surface, this is a fascinating biological insight. But beneath that scientific milestone lies a far more unsettling message. Our bodies may be hardwired to self-sabotage as we age, and the fight against belly fat could be much more biologically rigged than previously understood. The common understanding has long been that as we age, we become less active, our metabolism slows down, and we gain weight gradually as a result of lifestyle changes. While this remains true to an extent, the City of Hope study exposes a deeper layer, one that has less to do with behavior and more to do with involuntary biological changes. The implications are disheartening. If these CPA cells are naturally activated during middle age and essentially become factories for fat, then personal responsibility, dieting, exercising, and even medications might not be enough to counteract the weight gain. This isn't just a matter of willpower. It's biology quietly turning against us. What's more concerning is that these fat-producing cells, unlike most other adult stem cells that decline with age, actually become more active as we get older. That means our capacity to create fat not only stays intact, it accelerates. This is a rare case in which aging enhances a biological function, but it's one that works against our health. Belly fat is not just a cosmetic concern. It has long been associated with increased risks of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers. Now, with this research revealing that our own cells are actively complicit in the buildup of this dangerous fat, the health picture becomes significantly more alarming. One of the most troubling elements of the study is that when researchers transplanted these aged fat progenitor cells into young mice, they still aggressively produced fat, independent of the host's age. This means the pro-fat programming is deeply embedded in the cells themselves, not just a response to the environment or other aging factors. In practical terms, that suggests that once CPAs emerge, they could be extremely difficult to shut down or reverse. Even if a person loses weight through diet or exercise, these cells may remain poised to create fat again, essentially making long-term weight management more difficult than previously realized. Additionally, the activation of CPAs is tied to the LIFR signaling pathway, which behaves very differently in younger versus older animals. Young mice don't rely on this pathway to produce fat, but in older mice, LIFR becomes a critical switch. This age-dependent reliance raises concerns about how difficult it might be to develop therapies that are both safe and effective. Targeting LIFR could potentially shut down this harmful fat production mechanism, but it's not yet clear what other cellular functions might be affected in the process. Interrupting a major signaling pathway always comes with the risk of unintended consequences, especially in complex systems like metabolism and endocrine regulation. Perhaps the most unsettling takeaway is that the presence of CPAs has also been verified in humans. The researchers found that human tissue samples showed an increase in these cells as people aged, mirroring the findings in mice. That removes any illusion that this might be a species-specific anomaly. It's happening to us, and it begins in midlife, whether we're ready for it or not. As the population ages and obesity rates continue to climb worldwide, this new understanding of how fat is generated at the cellular level paints a grim picture of what lies ahead for public health. Even if therapies are eventually developed to inhibit CPAs or block LIFR signaling, they are likely years, if not decades, away from being safe, affordable, and accessible. In the meantime, middle-aged and older adults may find themselves trapped in a biological process that promotes belly fat no matter how well they eat or how much they exercise. And while knowledge is power, there's an undeniable frustration in realizing that our own bodies may be working against us in such a fundamental way. The idea that aging itself acts as a trigger for fat cell proliferation raises existential questions about how we define health, how we pursue longevity, and what our expectations should be for aging gracefully. This discovery should be a wake-up call, not just for scientists and doctors, but for anyone who assumes that weight gain in later life is simply a matter of lifestyle. It isn't. It's also a result of deep-rooted biological changes that have only just begun to be understood. If we hope to counteract the rising tide of metabolic disease and obesity-related illness, we will need more than advice about portion control and physical activity. We will need to fundamentally rethink how aging and fat are linked and confront the hard truth that, in many ways, the odds have been stacked against us all along.